Hello, everyone. I'm John. I'm the founder of PlataKin, and I'm a trained economist from the Pontifical Catholic University of Chile. And today I will be showing a demonstration of PlataKin in the Arabic format, specifically for Lebanon. In a few words, PlataKin is a service that aims to make interpersonal loans between people a more efficient and more clarified, a more documented, just a better experience overall. And we hope to do this by creating the infrastructure and the trust and allowing for the information to be accessible and available to lenders and borrowers alike so that they can make more informed decisions. The idea here is not to replace the existing informal lending market as it exists in Lebanon and in much of the developing world, but to create the infrastructure behind it so that this informal lending market from person to person is just a better experience overall, and so that there's more information and more efficiency in the market. Okay, so here is how the app looks on the website. So right now I'm in a test environment because I don't want to mess with any real data, but this is how the application looks like in Arabic. I personally can't read Arabic, so I'm going to be switching back and forth between English and Arabic for the demonstration, just so that you can get a picture of what it looks like and so that I can better understand, what's going on the screen. But I have a good amount of friends from Lebanon and the Arabic speaking world, and from what they've told me, it's pretty close to how it will be in production. So eventually I will need to hire, a full-time Arabic translator so that we can be sure that everything is working 100% in the Arabic version. But for now, I've been told it's good enough to start to work with. First thing that you do is you need to create an account. You can create an account through multiple ways. You can continue with Google or use the email verification workflow. I am going to be using the email verification workflow. So here we have it. And we have these legal terms that you have to mark that you've read. And then you should receive an email. Okay, so then once you confirm your email, you should then be able to log in, and it should ask you, then it'll ask you for your username, and it'll ask you where you got referred to from. I'm just going to say I got referred to from Facebook. And then you create the account. It gives you a small little introduction here. And then the next thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to fill out your essential account information. So I'm going to do that. So we're here, we have this information that we need to fill out. Lebanon. Well, we actually don't need to put a phone number. We will save the profile. So now we will see, since we filled out all that essential information, then now we need to there's one more step, which would be to verify your ID. So the reason why we have this is to make sure that no one is doing fraudulent accounts with PlataKin. So the ID verification makes it so that one person has one account. So we won't have multiple people creating, fake accounts, taking down their account, making a scam account. The account is tied to an ID. So the idea here is that this makes the fraud levels just go down. That's the idea behind all of this. And we only use the ID to verify that you are who you say you are. As soon as we verify the ID, we delete it in our system. So it's data, privacy, security, it's all up to standard here. So to be able to make loans in Lebanon, you need to have a Lebanese ID. Obviously, this makes sense. So here we would just have, Lebanon, Lebanese ID card. So you would put your document number, test big document. Then you upload some pictures. In real life, these would be pictures of the document ID, of the document itself, submitting it for verification. And then on our side, we verify that the information that we received for the personal details, the residence, all this lines up with the ID card that we've received. So that's the first thing. That's the first step to creating your account on PlataKin. And then after this, once it's been verified within our system, then you're good to go. And then we can start looking at the interesting parts of the application. Okay, so now we are back. I logged out, I did the verification process, and now we are approved. The test account is approved to make loans now. That's something that we would want to reach out to you about with a possible partnership, because I'm not really an expert on Lebanese IDs. So it would be amazing if someone from your team or someone over in with expertise could help us with this to make sure that we're verifying real IDs and not letting fraudulent users join the platform in Lebanon. Okay, so now that we have our ID verified, we need to start building out our network. So how that works is in PlataKin, basically the entire system is built around a closed network, which means only friends in the application and people that are members of your community. So a community could be a church group, a community could be employees that work together, a community could be a family. So only your explicit friends in the app and people in your community are the people that you can interact with. And the idea behind this is to make it a closed network system so that it's really only informal lending between people that already know each other, the people that already trust each other. And we are not trying to build a application for like someone to take advantage of someone else by lending to them, by some unknown stranger lending to them at crazy high interest rates or really difficult terms. No, the idea is we build the app so that family members and friends that are already lending to each other just have a better experience doing it with more information, more structure, more clarity, and everything documented. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to add another user that I have. So I send the request, and I'm going to log back into the other account and accept it so that we can continue forward. Okay, so as you can see, we also have a built-in notification system. So I logged out into the other user, accepted the request, and when I logged back in, I see, oh, there's a new notification in the contacts page, and now I see that I have a connection here. So what can we do? What are the options here for PlataKin? So with PlataKin, the main functionalities are informal charges. So this would be, let's say we go out to dinner and I pay the bill. So if I were to wanted to keep track of this, or maybe I buy a gift for someone, or maybe, there's something small. So it's not a loan. It's basically I pay for this small expense. So I can just mark it here. I'm going to use English. So it would be, let's say, dinner, supplies, let's say. So you can do Lebanese pounds or you could do USD, but let's do 60,000, and last night's dinner. And here you can upload an image as well. So it could be like a receipt or something, and then you submit the charge. And this is just a good way to keep track of accounts. Let's say, not saying you always have to do this, but if there's a case where, you bought something and you just wanted to make sure that it's not forgotten and you expect them to repay you. So it's not just a gift. It's like, hey, I bought you this. I hope, you can repay me back. So the idea here is we just have this, keeping track, this functionality to make it so that it's easier to keep track of these small expenses. So the main interesting functionalities for Lebanon would be this informal lending workflow. So let me see here. Here it would be. So we see here, this would be for person-to-person lending. So it could be, let's say I want to lend to this person. So I'm going to show you this, and then I'm going to switch to English so that I can read it. But we have, so for Lebanon, you can choose to either do loans in Lebanese pounds or in US dollars. Let's say 600 with an annual interest rate of 5%. Here we could have the final payment date. So we could do a single payment. So I want this person to pay me back by this date, and I am going to give him the money by this date. And the payment method could be cash, or we could make it slightly more complex. So here we have installments. So we can do it by frequency and number of payments or end date. So let's do 5 installments starting on this date, and I want him to pay me monthly, weekly, bi-weekly, but let's say monthly. And this would be a test. And as you can see here, we have a schedule of the payments. So with this loan, I would expect to receive, so I'm going to deliver him 600, and on this date, I would want 123, on this date, 121, this date, 121, 120.99, 120.51. And so that would be my interest rate that I would get back. And we create a contract for them. So here it is. This is a contract between two people. So we need to finalize the legal team. That's another thing that I would like to reach out to you about, is just to make sure that all this legal wording is right. But the idea is to create a contract between these two so that it's, more formal, it's stronger evidence, it's, the terms are clear, everything is set in stone. So then you can create a loan here. And the other thing, which is really interesting, would be this social funding page, or this social feed. It's a social feed. So essentially what it is a space for people to talk about their issues or just talk about whatever. But the idea is I could go here, I can see what other people have said, I can see what I've said, and I go here, I can say, let me change this to English. So let's say help with new business. Hey, looking for $500 before the end of the month. If anyone would lend me money to help out, that would be amazing. So then I can choose who I want to share this to, all my contacts, selected contacts, current and future contacts. I can mark it as important, and I can also choose to share with my community. And then you can add a progress tracker. So the interesting thing here would be money for business. So I publish this, just starting. So then I publish this, and now we can see, okay, so I'm at 0% of my $500. And let's say someone lends me $100, then I can go here, right? Let's say someone gives me, the $100 of the 500. So I can actually update this. So now we're at 20%. So the interesting thing here would be now people know, hey, he already has $100. So this helps coordinate an entire social group, your friends, your family, everyone. Instead of having to find just one person to loan all 500, now we can have one person who lends $100, and then, each person lends $100. We have 5 people lending $100. We get to our 500. So the idea is to just make it easier for people to, partially loan to their friends and family, because sometimes I might not have $100 to loan or $500 to loan, but I might have $100. And so if I know 5 people that have $100, that might be easier than to find one person who lends, $500. So that's the idea behind this. We also, of course, have messaging. So the messaging would just be to keep track of everything. So, I could say, hey, I could loan you $100 at 6% interest rate. So this is just another way to keep track of everything around the financial, around the loan, around the financial commitment, so that it's all in one spot and it's just easier to keep track of, and it's just more clear. And then finally, so we saw the loan that I created. So I'm going to log into the other account. So I'm logged into the other account now, and I see in my notifications, I got a new message, I got a new charge request, and I got a new loan. So let's go to these loans. Remember, the other user was the one lending to this user. So I would say, okay, I have this new test, and I can choose to accept it, reject it, counter it, negotiate, but this looks good to me. I will accept. And then both users need to sign the loan. So you go down here, you can review all the legal text, and then you do an electric signing, which is just typing your name and declaring that you've read it. Okay, so now we're back to the original user, the test demo user that I've been using, and he'll receive a notification here. So he would receive a notification that the other person signed, then he would sign as well. So now both users have signed, so now you just need to mark that you've delivered the funds. You can upload an image, which should be just, you delivering the funds to the other person, so that way it's documented. And then he marks that he delivered the funds, and the other user would have to confirm. So the other user just has to confirm that he received the funds. And now the loan is active in the system. So the loan is now active in the system. So here we can see the entire calendar of payments that need to be made. This person can mark that he made the payment. The other person confirms that he received the payment, so on and so forth. And then we have this nice built-in system so that a user can just look at all of the payments that they're going to have to make in the future. So right now, I see these are some other test things from other tests, but I'll see these loans. I can make the payment. These are the ones that people owe me. And the idea here is just to make everything super simple, make everything with a contract, give evidence of payment, and so on and so forth. And finally, the last important key aspect of this would be that how a person behaves in their in their payment on the app. So are they paying on time? Is the other person confirming that they're being paid? Everything like that. So then we have this financial information report. So the financial information report basically just is a summary of all the actions in the app. So whether they paid on time, how many loans they've taken out, how much money, so on and so forth. So this person would just generate their financial report, and then we can see it here. So here's the financial report of this user. It's not completely working right now. I still need to fix this. It's working in the other languages, but again, this is why I need a full-time Arabic translator, so that I can make sure that it's working as well. But essentially what happens is, so this user owns his financial report, so I own this is mine. And in the future, if someone says, hey, I'd be willing to lend to you, but I want to see how you've done in the past. Like, did you pay on time? Are you good with the money? Did you pay early? Did you pay at all? All these super important information, that goes into deciding if I want to lend to someone, how much, at what terms, all this. So we generate all that in the system, so that way in the future, it's just before I lend to someone, I can ask them, hey, can I see your report? So that basically is PlataKin. So PlataKin, is, essentially what we're trying to do is, especially somewhere in Lebanon where I think this could be really interesting, where there's already a lot of informal lending, from one user to another. So my idea is, let's just formalize this. Let's get all the information documented. Let's provide evidence. Let's create, behavioral reports so that we can make the entire process more transparent, more informed, more clear. Let's reduce conflicts. Let's make it more organized, and then just make the entire system more efficient. So that is the premise. So that is the premise of PlataKin. I'm super excited to speak more about this, and I hope this was an informative demonstration of the app. Thank you for your time, and have a good day.